They won't even let me call in now.
Oh, man, it's getting rough. Did they pay you for this, or are you going to take this grief for free? Man.
This is amazing. I mean, we were connected for 10 minutes before the show came on, and then when the show came on, I got disconnected and could not dial out.
Man. Well, Betty's just going to try to call you, but she's okay. Don't worry about it. Just get going here. You got we can at least still take it to, the quarter after mark, so you at least got 45 minutes.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll. We appreciate it, my friend.
You bet.
Appreciate you giving us this time this evening, and sorry for the confusion and not being able to talk. Evidently, some people just don't want us to be able to talk consistently. But you know what? We're going to keep on talking as long as you can keep your ship running. We're going to keep our ship running.
Absolutely.
And we want to ask all the people who are listening to go to therealpublicradio.net. There's a button on their front page. You can donate. Give them a little cash. Help them pay the rent. Help us stay on the air. And we're going to ask at the same time to help the LPDOC right now. In the coming months, we have lots of actions that will be escalating in trying to free Leonard, and these actions are going to take funding. Just like Desert, we have rent to pay and telephone bills to pay. And I'm going to ask you, please, 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 reach in your pocket, pull out a $10 bill. Send it to the LPDOC, P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. If everybody will just pull out a $10 bill and send it in, that will help us meet the expenses we have to meet to keep this fight going for Leonard. We all fight from our hearts and our spirits, but the man who collects the rent and the man who collects the telephone bill, he won't take heart and spirit. He won't barter. He needs American dollars for some reason. So, again, if you would, reach in your pocket, pull out a $10 bill, and I think you're gone again. And send it to the LPDOC. I appreciate it so much if you would do that. Okay, we also would like to ask you at this time to remember that our congressmen are all going home on spring break, spring recess from April 4th to April 19th. It's a great time to be able to contact our congressmen as they come into our home areas and ask them to write a letter in support of Leonard. Take this opportunity to visit with them, make an appointment to meet with them, talk to those people that you can get to talk to. They're home in their home districts to meet with their constituents. That's what you are. You're a constituent. Go in, sit down with them, tell them you're concerned for Leonard. Ask him. If your representative will write a letter to President Obama urging the immediate release of Leonard. When you're talking to your congressmen, bring up these points. Leonard has served 33 years in prison. The government has conceded it does not know who shot the two agents that died that day. And the government is still fighting vigorously to prevent the release of thousands and thousands of pages of documents under FOIA. Documents that should have been turned over to the defense team years and years and years ago. These things need to be given to the defense team. Leonard will turn 65 in September on the 12th, and he is not in good health. He's got health problems, and he needs to be released. And bring up also that Leonard was brutally attacked on January 13th by two other inmates, and prison officials did nothing to prevent the attack from happening. They knew that attack more than likely would happen when they transferred him to Canaan, and they probably transferred him hoping the attack would happen so that Leonard would have a bad mark against him. But go see your congressman. They're at home to hear from you. That's why they come back to their home districts, is to hear from you.
Looks like you have a caller, Wanbli.
Make an appointment. Okay.
Somebody out there, give your first name, where you calling from?
There.
No, well, you better forget it, caller. This is interesting. This is interesting. This is exactly what happened with Martin today from Ireland, and I thought it was on his end. And now this almost sounds like something going on with the conference line. Caller, you're not coming through, so the only thing you can try is to hang up and call back in because you're not coming through at all. You sound like Darth Vader's brother.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe. You need to call back in. We can't understand you. It sounds real strange. So hang up, dial back in, and
give it a shot.
Star one and try again because you're not coming through at all.
Back to you, Wanbli.
Also, we want to ask people. We're getting real disjointed here this evening, and it gets me out of rhythm. But anyway, we want to ask people to contact the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, in relationship to Leonard. Leonard needs to be transferred out of Lewisburg to Turtle Mountain, or the Sandstone facility, or the Oxford facility, the Sandstone, Minnesota SCI, or the Oxford SCI. He needs to get out there for health reasons. There's good health care out in that area. Leonard is supposed to be within 500 miles of family. We have tried writing to Bureau of Prisons, and it's proved to be absolutely ineffective. Leonard's lawyer, talking to him 2 weeks ago, he had written a letter to the BOP asking Leonard to be transferred back in October, November. He got a reply from the warden at the Canaan Penitentiary in February that Leonard was no longer at Canaan. Well, Mike Kuzma didn't write Canaan. Mike Kuzma wrote the BOP. So what he has suggested that we do, since the BOP is a bureaucratic mess, it seems like, is go direct to the Attorney General of the United States. And that's easy enough to do. He's a human just like we are. You can call him at area code 202-353-1555. That's the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, at 202-353-1555. You can also email him at askdoj@usdoj.gov. That's askdoj@usdoj.gov. And ask that Leonard Peltier, America's #1 political prisoner, be transferred to the Sandstone, Minnesota FCI facility or the FCI facility at Oxford, Wisconsin. Again, prisoners are supposed to be held within 500 miles of their homes. Leonard has never been held anywhere closer than 1,500 miles from his home. Leonard is being treated exactly as he is, a political prisoner. We need to go directly to the head of the DOJ, Mr. Eric Holder, and ask him to do the proper thing to transfer Leonard out to Sandstone or Oxford. And we ask you to do that. I ask you please, and I don't ask you to do it once. I ask you to call the Attorney General's office every day and bring up Leonard Peltier. Area code 202-353-1555. Also, we need you to be helping and calling the White House. You can call the White House 5 days a week, 9 to 5 Eastern. You can call the White House comment line at 202-456-1111. That's 202-456-1111. And when you call the comment line, let the person who answers know we want Leonard released under clemency by the President. The President has to do that, has the right to do that under Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. They will ask you what you're calling about. Just tell them you're calling about Leonard Peltier and you'd like to see President Obama give him clemency under Article 2, Section 2 of the United States Constitution. You can also, besides phone calling, you can fax at 202-456-2666. 2461 and send in a written request for the same thing, for the President to please issue clemency for Leonard Peltier under Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. He has the right to do this. He has the power to do this. There's a formal process for clemency and for pardons where you have to go through the DOJ. When our last president, King George II, denied Leonard's pardon, the DOJ route is delayed for 1 year. He can't apply through the DOJ for 1 year. But we can go direct to the President. The President can do this without having DOJ papers put in front of him. So we want people to get into President's ear, to call this phone number I just gave you, 202-456-1111. Now, we've been making these calls every Friday en masse. We're getting, I suspect, thousands of calls on every Friday. I've learned that the comment line office is 20 cubicles, staffed by over 100 operators. And they can take, without anybody being on hold, 1,000 calls a day. That's their average, is 1,000 calls a day. We have, 4 or 5 weeks ago, had people on hold for 30 minutes because we were crashing the phone lines so hard. It had gotten down to people were getting in 8 or 10 minutes and then picked back up. And the last week's calls, we had some input from the people who who answer the comment lines. They gave us some insight into the FBI is still fighting us. I suspect the FBI Agents Association now has fired up, knowing that we're calling the President. They are now calling the same phone number and leaving a negative comment. When I called in last week, the second time I called in, the gentleman told me, I asked him, are you getting a lot of calls today about this? He said, yes, we're getting a lot of pro and con. So that tells me the other side is firing up.
Your caller's back.
Another one of our people. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, am I clear at this time?
You got it. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
It's Ben.
It's Ben Carnes. This is Ben Carnes. He's a national spokesman for the LPDOC. Ben, I'm glad you called in. We've been having trouble with the show this evening because of phone connections, but glad you called in. What do you have to share this evening?
Well, we just got off a conference call with most of the members of the committee and some new people, and without really getting into details, we're going to work on some stuff really quick in the next day and try to get back on conference Tuesday. And what we're hoping, if we can come together on all this and this plan that we're putting together, we can try to release it on Wednesday to give all of our supporters and everybody a framework of what we're going to do for the rest of this year and how we have things set out. Because, I know for years while Bush was in office, there wasn't too much coming out of the committee as far as activities and the concentrated efforts. But, this year, since we all came back on board since last April when the committee was reformed, what we have coming up is possibly a plan that may succeed in getting Leonard home. And if nothing else, it's going to make Leonard Peltier a national issue for this country. Because, we made a commitment. We made a promise to Leonard, Wanbli started this, and I followed with him, that we want to have Leonard home by his next birthday. We've had talks with the attorneys about different things, and said, well, this is going to take 2 or 3 years. Our personal feeling is Leonard does not have 2 or 3 years. He doesn't have that much time left at all. And we are hoping that with the plan that we're laying out and that we can, get more agreements and support on it, if we release this on Wednesday, we'll have a lot of work to do in the next 6 to 9 months before Christmas gets here. Because there is a backup plan. If we don't succeed in getting Leonard home before his birthday, we have a backup plan. But we're not really focusing too much on that right now. But the first 2, that's really important. And at this time, we have some time to start organizing our support groups, our support group leaders, even all these solidarity groups. People like Jericho, Amnesty International, many other organizations that support Leonard. We need to get everybody online and connected in our support group network to get ready. Because, one of the things we announced on February 6th at the Boulder event was that we were going to ask for a meeting with Obama to meet the Peltier Defense Committee to discuss Leonard's case. and that we're going to wait until June 26th, and we have not succeeded in having a meeting with Obama by that time, that we're going to pursue a more aggressive form of action to bring about Leonard's freedom, to bring him home. Now, when I say freedom, that usually means clemency or parole. It's either one. You know, Leonard's been stuck in maximum security for 33 years. You know, if we can get him to other facilities that allows him more access to media, more access to, calling his family, the ability to do his artwork. Because being in a maximum security prison, a lot of your rights, or a lot of your privileges and rights are restricted severely. And we're going to need Leonard out because, if we can get him out on parole, if we can get him out on a transfer to Turtle Mountain, that gives Leonard the ability to begin directing his own campaign to bring about the truth of what happened 33 years ago or 34 years ago in Oglala. Because we've talked about it, Wanbli has talked about it extensively. But, Bob and Dino found innocent, that there were the aggressors, that the possibility of Joe Stuntz was murdered, but there's never been no investigation. We've talked about so many issues in Leonard Peltier's case. I know most of our listeners know this by now, and that is one of the purposes of this show, is to keep bringing these points home. And right now, with the ability to go and meet your congressman in person, we hope that in all the talk that we've done here and all the sharing we've done will give everybody a means to go and communicate with their legislative or congressional leaders, not legislative.
Perfect time to do it. Perfect time, yeah.
Yeah, this is the time. And, we had talked about doing something on May 8th, and at the last end of our phone conference, we found some leads that we may have that we could utilize, and we're going to do those things first. So we're standing down on anything to do with May 8th, because we may get some things set in place to help us later. Let me see what else we're going to...
Just on your talking about the support groups, in the time that since I had to leave the conference call to come on the show, I wanted to let you know I added one more support group in Central Florida.
That's great. We need them all.
Yeah, so in that little short time, we got one more support group added from the time I got off the conference to get on the show. So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just want to let you know we got one more on board.
Well, like I said, all the help we can get is more, because we are discussing, and we're going to probably put something out asking for resumes for people to be our communications director. We want to see what talents and tools and experience people can bring to help Leonard, because once this plan's released, we're going to be running. And if we haven't met with Obama by June 26th, then we're going to be running it really hard. So we got time to get ready and get organized. I'm going to be writing up something for the Peltier Support Group leaders soon about things that they can start doing and the resources, so they can start extending their own network within their own states. We really do. We need at least one support group in each state. And then when we start bringing in the solidarity groups, because we want to list those right next to the support groups, underneath the support groups on the page. That way everybody can see what groups they can go to that are connected with Leonard Peltier in some ways. Because when I've talked before about creating a firestorm, this is what we're talking about. By Leonard's birthday, from August 12th to September 12th, we want a firestorm in this country. We want a firestorm coming from outside this country. If we ever pick a time to do it, this is it right now. And so we want all of our supporters and listeners to be ready. If you haven't subscribed to the Leonard Peltier Defense Committee listserv, you need to do so now, so when we release this information, it'll be in your email box. Need to encourage your friends to do so. Because I know for 33 years, we discussed this when I talked with one of the chairmen. I said, I've been burned out on writing letters and burning candles. I'm not disrespecting those activities, but I've done it so many times, seen it so many times, it seems to lose its effectiveness. But, when we do this, release this campaign, we're going to have updated form letters. We're going to have updated forms of action that we want people to take. We want people to stick with the plan, because this is where it's going to help. Because this plan has probably been about 4 or 5 months in the making. And when Leonard got transferred and got beaten, it kind of put it on hold for a little bit. And then when we were getting ready to set up for what was happening at Canaan, then he got transferred back to Lewisburg. And, there's some details there that we can't release just as yet. But, everything that affected the development of this plan now since Bob has passed, services have been done for Bob Robidoux. We were able to finally all come together and focus in its own way. But, we just really can't procrastinate, say, well, we'll do this tomorrow. When we get your information, let's take care of it right then. If you get an idea, submit it to the defense committee, submit it to the support group leaders, get to somebody, because, somebody's going to have a good idea somewhere, or maybe a contact that we weren't aware of. But we're going to need people to come on board and start getting more really active. We need people, we've done a lot of work on the internet, through MySpace, Facebook, and other social networks. But, it's almost time that we need to start getting people out there on the streets, We had Wild Court up in Pennsylvania doing those vehicles every month. We need people to do similar events. For example, next month when the congressmen are home, plan on doing a Peltier event at a local coffee shop or a church. Find out what church your congressman goes to. You meet with him and explain Leonard's case, and invite him to come to the church he attends to see a video of an incident of Oglala. There's an opportunity.
Don't be afraid to ask support group leaders. If you're a member of support group, ask your support group leader. If you need them to come speak, ask them to come speak at your church. Ask them to come help you.
Yeah, because, this is an opportunity to, for lack of a better word, to exploit, They're going to be home. Get them where they're home, get other people to hear, see them hear the case. They can hear how their constituents feel about Leonard's case. If they can get the congressman to make a statement about it, if he does, let us know. We'll get him to join in on a letter. Because, a lot of stuff that we're planning on doing is stuff we have done before, but they have never been done together and in connection with each other. And we think this framework of keeping everything active, it's not just a one-a-day event. This is for the rest of this year. We've got a daily campaign going on that we need to step up on. Because, we need to do it. There's no other way for me to say it. It needs to be done. I've been involved. I learned about Leonard's case in 1981. I became involved on the sidelines in 1986. And then when I was paroled and finished my parole in 1991, I became a spokesperson. That's how long I've been involved in Leonard's case. And, I know how long 33 years has been for him. I know what, 33 years in prison feels like. And, it's got to end. He's got to go home. He's got so many years left to enjoy his family that this is a priority in my life. My family can explain that because I spend so much time on the phone and computer, research and talking to people. But, I know this is what I can do. And if I can do this much, and if others can do just a tenth of what I do, we have a lot of work, getting done. But, I can't express any other urgency then.
All the people that are working right now, everybody is putting, you're putting 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I get emails from you at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're still up working, researching. We're all putting in many, many hours that people don't realize that we're putting in. And there's a lot of people putting in hours from all over the country are putting in lots of hours. And we need more people to go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to jump on here and I'm going to make something happen. Because there's times in life when you have the ability to actually change history. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to change history. And we're going to do it with a well-laid-out plan, and we're going to do it in conjunction with everybody that we can bring on board. Ben has been putting this plan together for months in concert with everyone involved with the LPDOC. I'm aware of the plan, and I tell you, it's a good plan, but we need everybody to step up now. And just step up hard and solid. That's all you have to do, just step up and be there. Because we can get Leonard home. We can get Leonard home if we follow this plan. Go ahead, Ben. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, so, we got some discussion, because with the committee, because we got board members as part of this committee. Here's what I know. We got Gene Day, who was one of the main people that was involved with a lot of stuff in South Dakota in the 70s. She's on board. Billy Fillin is a friend of Leonard's, and she has come on board, and she is the chairman of the board. And we have Mike Kuzma. Mike Kuzma is our point of contact for the legal team. John Privatera is working on some projects on the legal front. We have David Hill, who's been involved with AIM. He's been a friend of Leonard Peltier's, and when we had a conference call, we had some questions, and he was able to fill in a lot of questions because he has a lot of personal history with a lot of people, federal agents, AIM people, and those who oppose AIM. So we got a good resource of people to start from that. But we've also included Chief Billy Tyack, Chief of the Piscataway Indian Nation from Southern Maryland. And we're going to be doing a lot of work in the D.C. area because we're dealing with Obama, and he's going to be a valuable key asset for us there in the D.C. East Coast area. We have Wanbli and myself. There's also Carrie Ann and Betty Ann, the family, who's maintaining the office. They're anchored. They're going to keep that office going and rolling. We have a really good group of people together, and we have one more person that we're bringing on board, I believe, and his name is Ricardo Tapia, excuse me. But he's got some important work he can do for us with the International Indian Treaty Council. So we're amassing a group of people to help, get this whole plan and program going and rolling. But we still need some help because we got ideas on this plan, but we don't have funding for it. We don't have all the logistics arranged just yet. So to me, once we can release this plan and people know what's happening in their area, we want them to jump up and join in and ask us how they can help, because we're going to need housing arranged for some people. We're going to need transportation. We're going to definitely need some fundraisers. We're going to need to plan some activities around certain events, because some of these events we have planned are going to be more in a few days. They're going to be a sustained program. And, I wish I could share it all with you, but, we need to get this all together and that all the board committee members agree. And once we put this out, we really want to see that people start coming in. Because I realize a lot of people
we'll be able to get this out by midweek, you think, then?
Okay, when I last talked, most of the people had to leave, and I said, well, since I got a few things I need to write up, I want to try to get it done by tomorrow and send an email if it's ready. Then we're going to try to plan another conference call Tuesday, which would accommodate everybody. It's going to be kind of hard because of the work time and the time zones all across this country. But I am hoping that by the time we have this show next week, we'll have a lot more to talk about. And I think, at that time we should, invite Chief Tyack to come on and, speak a little bit. Some of the other people that are involved, we should, I would encourage a lot of call-ins from people with their feedback and their thought about the plans and their suggestions.
Well, and that's one thing that we need to make sure people understand. We're open to suggestion. We're open to input. We understand that the more ideas, the more input we have, the more we can put together. We have our own focus of I look how I look, Ben looks how he looks. Everybody has different perspective. And the more perspectives we have given to us, the more opportunity we have to add things to this plan to keep the momentum up and to keep it building. And that's what this plan is laid out to do, is laid out to build the momentum that by September, is shaking the nation, East Coast to West Coast, and everybody's going to know that Leonard Peltier needs to be set free by that time. And it's not going to be quiet. We're going to get vocal about it. And it's a well-conceived plan, and it builds, and I'm excited about it. I want all our supporters to get themselves geared up, to start talking to their friends, to enlist more people to come in and help us, to help them in their areas, and to start coming to us if you need help setting up programs or talks or whatever in your area to help this.
Because, it's going to come about, and we just need everyone. Let me think. So if we get it done Tuesday, then hopefully we can get it out by Wednesday. And we put a list out for volunteers earlier, and at the time I was still in my moving process, and I lost contact with volunteers, but we would need volunteers again to do some research, collect lists. Because in preparing for the conference today, I was looking for some information statements by Leonard, and I started coming across all these different websites that's, got Leonard on their homepage, or they keep Leonard featured. Ideally, I'd like to have a listing of all these contacts, these possible contacts, all these websites, so we can all try to bring them in, because we need to create a really good master media list. And we've been getting a lot of help from people since it was reformed in April, but we need to really amass a major group email list for media contacts, for celebrity contacts. That way we can get all the information out to as many people as possible at one time with one click. Because when we start doing things, we will need things to happen quite quickly. We need some people to mobilize quite quickly.
And let me,
social justice groups that haven't brought it out here, then maybe each person can say, hey, Have you ever discussed Leonard Peltier? How do you group feels about him? Would your group like to support Leonard Peltier?
Like the Jericho
recruit, bring in.
Ben and Wanbli, let me jump in real quick. I just want to make a program update. We're running behind time this evening on our programming schedule, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to be taking Free Leonard Peltier to the 15-minute mark, quarter after the hour, and then we'll be up with the Wellstream Advisor Report with Harmon Taylor and Legal Reality, and that will still be a full 90 minutes, okay? So we're just running behind, but we still get full play of all of our programming, so glad you tuned in. Ben and Wanbli, back to you.
Thank you, Desert.
All right, great. Well, thanks to you for giving us just a little bit more time, because there's just so much. I'm just trying to find so many ways to express our need, our excitement about the plan that's coming up. And I'm sure Wanbli said earlier, Leonard was read the plan, and Leonard was happy about it, but he stressed, the most important thing I want people to focus on is my transfer, my transfer, my transfer.
And how we do that is we call Eric Holder, and we call Eric Holder, and we call Eric Holder at 202-353-1555, and get him to transfer Leonard out to Turtle Mountain at the Oxford facility, both of them FCI facilities out in the Midwest. And Holder can do it. He's the man who is in charge of the BOP. And again, Eric Holder's phone number is 202-353-1555. Give him a call and ask him to get Leonard transferred out of Lewisburg and out into the Midwest at Sandstone or Oxford facility for his health reasons. He needs to be out there and get better medical care.
And I guess the other thing I can be reached through the Peltier website, bcarnes@whoisleonardpeltier.info. And I haven't really talked with Desmond yet, but if he could send me his email address, so we can communicate. Because, I like to talk to him about some of his plans, too, and, maybe how they could be involved with it along with you. Because we just, when I say network, I'm talking about like a spider web all across this country and all across this world. Now, when you disturb one strand, it affects all the other strands. That's how quickly our information needs to start getting out and how quickly we need to act when we call for things, because we are trying to be proactive. For a lot of times when there's the support has waned.
If they need to contact me, they can click my name. It'll take them to my email. On the web page of our show, if they'll just click my name, it will take them direct to my email. So we're linked there too.
And even for me, I'm kind of like anal. I'm into details and information. Maybe if all the listeners would email you directly who all has listened and where they're from. Give us an idea how broad our listenership is. Because that way, it helps to give us a resource. If there's something that we want to do in the area, let's say David Hill's going to be doing a horse ride. Well, we have known people in this area that we can contact them, and they can help develop support. We just need this network so badly. I can't even stress how much. Because originally, when I came on board in September, I stated that I'd like to see a support group in every county of the country. Well, now we're within a year that we want Leonard out, and we've got a short period of time. I reassessed it, and we could still survive with one support group in each state, because each support groups in each state can act like a seed and flower other support groups, because they live there, they know people there. And even when you just get to major cities in each state, that's going to quantify us by 3, that's 150, and that'll be kind of unmanageable, but we know we have a good network in place then. So the more people we can get involved, the helpful it is. And, some people may think, well, I don't know anything about doing this kind of work, so I'm not going to volunteer. All I can say, all you need to volunteer is a desire to see Leonard free. Because if you can contact, say you want a support group, but you don't know what to do, it's okay, because what you're giving us is a voice, a person, and a body in that state, in that town, to start doing what we need. We can show you what to do. We can walk you through it. We can get you started. We get you a part of our Leonard Peltier Support Group Network board where you talk with other group leaders, see what kind of activities, what kind of ideas they come up with. Because one of our friends I spoke with in Florida recently, she was talking about, well, my house is not big enough to host a deal. And I said, well, there's a church, and I said in that name, oh, you mean the Unitarians? Well, yeah. They've always been supportive of Leonard and Native issues. Oh, there's one right around the corner from my house. I mean, it's that simple sometimes. We just talk. You really don't need a lot of special skills. If you have special skills in organizing media work and things of that nature, that's great. But if you don't, it's still great. We need you. We need everyone. We need everyone anywhere. And like I said, I have a hard time trying to stress it.
Well, we know that the show here on realpublicradio.net, it has been a boon to us in that the prayer vigil that we have going now out at the prison came from a conversation David and I had with the young lady here on our show 6 or 7 weeks ago, and she cranked it up and she's got that prayer vigil going. So anybody who's listening, go ahead and click that link, click my name. Let me know. That'll send you to the email. Let me know where you are, and if you let me know where you are, I can put you in touch with people, or we can get you started in helping us wherever you are. We can get you started helping. And all you have to do is just say, I've got the heart, I want to help this man, and we'll help you help. I promise, we will help you help.
Let's see, we got...
What we need to remember...
Without going into details, we have some more information that's coming out, but we have things that we're going to release, but they come out at a certain time, because time is really important with a lot of information that we want to present to the public and to help create and to build this momentum. I mean, there's some management abilities in doing an international network to free one man. We always got to remember, it isn't just about one man, it's also about each and every one of us, our family and our relatives that could be subjected to this kind of a justice system. This is something that affects everyone, so we always got to remind people about that. I know there are people who think, oh well, that's sad that he got sentenced like that, but if he isn't out free now, then it's never going to happen. Well, I don't take a negative or fatalistic attitude about this. When we said that we're going to have Leonard home by his birthday, that's a tall order. I'll admit it.
Yep.
But I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to stand behind it and believe it, because the thing about, standing behind something big is that you're willing to risk failing. And this failure is going to involve the life of one man. So if we fail to get him out by September 12th, don't dare anyone stop and give up and feel like they've been defeated. I ain't got time for people who've got their self-sympathy and self-pity because they didn't get Leonard home. Because the thing we really think about is,
you set a goal, you don't achieve it, you set your next goal. You set your next goal and go forward. We're getting him home. That's the thing. We're all committed to getting him home, and we're not going to quit till he is home. What we have to remember in all the failed legal maneuvers that have tried to get him home in the past is there have been good competent attorneys have worked very hard, but what they've been working hard against is the stand that this government has taken and not looking at Leonard as a federal prisoner, but in approaching Leonard as a true political prisoner. Time after time, appellate court judges have seen the miscarriage of justice in Leonard's case, and time after time their hands have been tied. And that's what we need to look at, is understand we're dealing with America's number one political prisoner. And what we also need to understand, Leonard Peltier isn't the cause. Leonard Peltier is a man, just like Ben, just like myself, like Desert. His freedom is the cause. And his freedom, when we accomplish this, it will make sure that nothing like this ever happens to you or your relatives, your son, daughter. We will make certain that this country no longer can take one of its citizens and make a political prisoner out of it. So Leonard's freedom is the cause. Leonard himself is our brother. He's a man. We can never, never, never forget that this person we're fighting for is not the cause. He's our brother. He's a man. We need to always keep that in mind and keep that personal part of the struggle for Leonard alive, and remembering this is a man, this is a brother, this is a grandfather. This is the person we're fighting for, but the fight is the cause. Leonard is the man, and we can't lose sight of the humanity of Leonard Peltier. We have to always remember that as we speak with passion about his freedom, we can't let people go blind to this. Leonard is not the cause. Leonard Peltier is a man who has been treated terribly by the system, and his freedom and justice are the cause. And that's what we're fighting for, to keep it from happening to us again. And once we set Leonard free, we'll set future generations of our people free, because the government will see that they cannot do this without the people just demanding it stop. And this time the people are demanding that it stop. And that man, that good man, you know, Leonard used to have a body shop. You know, I talked to people with XIT, who was a band that used to be up in the Dakotas a long time ago, and they remembered Leonard not as his prisoner. They remember Leonard as a guy they would see at the community centers putting on functions to raise money to buy children things. This man was helping his people. That's what he was doing up there. When he was very young, he had to deal with things that made him see what a warrior is supposed to do is help his people. And that's what he has done. He has helped his people. That's why he is where he is now. He has helped his people. What the government has done is tried to show us by keeping Leonard down that we can't help each other. The government is wrong. We're going to have Leonard free. We're going to have him home. All the people are going to stand up. I urge you to do just like Ben is talking about. Contact us. Let us know where you are. Let us know how we can help you get in this fight with us to free Leonard Peltier, to bring freedom to America's #1 political prisoner. That's what we have to do. And Ben Carnes has got a well-conceived plan that will be coming out very shortly. And I urge everybody to follow it, to step forward, and to be a piece of a change in history. Because you can do this with us. You can change history. You can change history. And more importantly, you can get this man home to his sister, home to his grandchildren, and home to the earth that he loves, where he's from right there. Ben, I appreciate you calling in tonight and sharing these thoughts that you have shared and your passion for our brother. And, you know, you and I made a vow to each other months ago that we were bringing Leonard home. And I can't think of a person in the world that I would rather have made that vow with, because I know for one thing for sure, you ain't quit until he's home, and I'm not either.
Yeah, because it just ain't for Leonard, for every one of us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the time we have tonight. I want to ask everybody, if they would please, to, again, reach in your pocket, find a $10 bill for the LPDOC, and send it to the LPDOC at P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 5816. And Ben, I appreciate, again, you so much for calling in, and we'll talk later this evening, okay?
Okay. Everybody have a good one. Stay strong.
All right, Toksha, my friend Toksha.
In Wanbli, the next time they can hear you is on Mohawk-radio.com at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, right?
That's correct. 6 p.m. Tuesday on Mohawk-radio.com. That's correct.
Mohawk-radio.com.
So much, Desert. -radio.com. Right. Appreciate you a bunch, Desert. You have a good evening.
Okay, you too, Wanbli. And we'll close out with the song for...
Free Leonard Peltier.
Yep. Free Leonard Peltier is programming. And go to whoisleonardpeltier.info to learn more, ladies and gentlemen. And you can hear Free Leonard Peltier on Sundays right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Wanbli. Okay, so come on back. Tell your friends. Let's have a revolution in thinking and pro-action. Okay, let's close out with a song for Leonard, and keep him in your prayers and do all that you can. It's in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Good man gone down. Right before our eyes. It's a tough beast, and we're gonna have to deal with it one way or another. It's coming to a neighborhood near you, and it's already there. This one's for Leonard.